Fasten your seatbelts. You're about to meet a very innovative and exciting writer, producer, and director. Before I introduce him on our podcast, I'd like you to take a look at his reel. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are talking to writer, producer, and director Ferdinand Gernandt. Did I say that right?
You
I hope
did.
so.
That was perfect. Thank you, Barb.
Thank you. Welcome to the podcast. So
Thank you so much.
tell us how you got started in the business. You are a writer, producer, and director out of South Africa. So how did you
Correct.
get started with everything?
So I'm a theater baby. So I started musical theater way back in the 90s. Started studying that. I did my degree in musical theater. Went into all sort of productions: Chicago the Musical, Starlight Express, Saturday Night Fever, and We Will Rock You, of course, the other one. And obviously, I started getting involved with the lovely lady who's now my wife, Diani, and we wanted to start a life together. We're both in the entertainment field, and that's how we met
Oh,
during a production of Chicago the Musical. And obviously, we need to reinvent yourself. You need to like see where you can, hold all the strings and keep the pot boiling. So I started dabbling a little bit more in behind the scenes of theater. Then I moved in front of the scenes of TV, behind the scenes of TV and film. And that's how I started, my whole writing career. I started writing screenplays from 2010, 2011. And I did a lot of courses with Hal Krosman and Screenwriting U. And I owe them a lot of credit for, what I've learned. So that is basically how I got into the business. I absolutely love storytelling, love this different ways how you can get a story across. And that's why I started, doing screenwriting. And also, I'm not a person that can do a novel. It will bore me to death.
Sure.
So I want to do a screenplay that I can get to the essence as quick as possible, say it with the least amount of words. And it's a constant practice. It's a constant sort of, checking yourself that you're doing it correctly, and you always challenging yourself to find new ways of telling that story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's basically
Absolutely.
how I got into it.
Okay, well let's talk about some of your projects. You have a lot of exciting projects going on, and let's start with the Imagined. Now, this was actually given a recommend over here by Extreme Screenwriting, and you have it optioned now. You have talent attached, and I remember some of the basics. A neuroscientist. I remember there being a childhood friend, and it's an imaginary one. So, tell us about that story, and tell us where you're at with it, and what the.
So this story has come such a long way. I mean, I started writing it in 2016, and I just started sending out query letters. And of course, it was still in my early days as a screenwriter, so I was exploring different ways of telling the story.
Mhm.
And I got a lot of good feedback from industry professionals, meaning producers or directors, that I sent the query letter out, and they were very interested. And after a couple of script requests that I sent out the script, I came back with a couple of feedback notes and stuff, and I started to implement it. And it just connected me to a different bunch of industry professionals and decision makers, that led me to start sort of a partnership with Denny Bisher, who is now sort of co-writer on it as well, because I'm South Africa. A lot of the jargon, a lot of the syntax of the American way of talking, obviously I'm not living in America, so it's not very easy for me to, just write in that way. So I brought Denny, who is an editor of itself, on board. She's helped me a lot to get the American syntax into the screenplay. Then I just decided one day, okay, and that's when we received the recommend from Extreme Screenwriting from
Yes.
you. And then we started out and sending it out again. A lot of interest came back, but obviously, producers, they come and go, and then they have another project on the slate, and that slate is full and all of that. And then it was about 2018, 2019, where Clubhouse, the app, was launched. I mean, in South Africa, we got that. And I said, well, let me just, join a couple of rooms on Clubhouse,
Hmm,
you know,
good idea.
screenwriters, producers or whatever.
Mhm.
And the one actor that you saw in The Greatest Showman, who played Tom Thumb, Sam Humphrey, was on this one call or this talk or this room that we were in. And I decided, well, I'm just going to reach out to him with no strings attached. I just wanted to make the connection. We started getting on, like a house on fire. And he asked me, what am I busy right now? What am I busy with right now? And I said to him, well, I've got a couple of screenplays, blah, blah, blah. And the one is a little bit about mental health. And he's like, oh, I love, topics and themes about mental health because I'm a firm believer and an activist, and a forerunner of it. And I'm like, wow, okay. And he's like, well, tell me a little bit about it. And there on the spot, I sort of did the pitch. I rewrote it to make, the lead protagonist not being just a normal guy going to college and doing the neuroscience work, but a dwarfed guy.
Right.
That's, and we shifted the entire story, and then I had to do a rewrite in sort of 24
All the
hours,
talent,
48
yeah.
hours to send the script to him. And he absolutely loved it. And now he's on board. He attached himself to the project. We've got an option going
Mhm.
with Aleph Pictures in Germany, who's going to produce it with him.
Okay.
And yeah, and as
Yeah.
option is a journey. It's
Yes.
building the relationship between you and the other writers, or the producer that came on board. And we've worked on the script. They had a couple of notes already, so it's been a really wonderful journey with the Imagined, and I'm very excited for where it may lead. I do have other talent that we do have involved, but I'm unfortunately not allowed to say yet, as we're not
Right.
in that phase. So,
Right.
but it's very
Still working.
exciting. Yeah, yeah. So it's very exciting.
Okay, now that is I have it down as sci-fi kind of thriller, psychological type of story. Now, this is the log
Correct.
line I had for it. A neuroscientist student uses a childhood imaginary friend to protect his family against a hitman, but discovers his ally is more dangerous than the killer. So it has
Yeah,
a lot of interesting aspects, and I'm not going to give away any twist or anything. But it's
yeah,
interesting what you were saying about having to rewrite it because for the talent, because I don't think a lot of screenwriters realize that's something that happens quite a bit. Is that you have
yeah.
someone come aboard and you write it for their voice, their style, their character, to
Absolutely.
slant them, and that's something you should always be open to because that's a good way to get a deal. So yeah,
Absolutely. I've had a couple of clients in the meanwhile, running up to, through COVID, and it just escalated. And a lot of them, I've got a couple of clients with bonded and those kind of things. But
right,
what they do is they say, okay, we've got a possible um, um, actor involved. Please go and check his work. Please go and do a little bit of research on the person. And then we want you to mold the protagonist accordingly. We
right
want you to sort of,
for that talent,
yes, yeah, you've written the script, but now see if we can maybe make it resonate a little bit better with this specific actor. So,
yeah,
um,
it happens a lot. The movie Flight Plan, which was starring Jodie Foster, was originally written for a male lead, and it was changed for her. So talk
what?
about,
Yeah, see,
yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
yeah.
In Imagined now as well. I mean, we've got the dwarfed. I
Mhm.
mean, Sam Amfrey as the little person, 4'2",
Mhm.
and then we have Raz, who's the main protagonist, the best friend in his mind, who was this idyllic sort of person he wanted to be when he was a normal boy. Now it's a female, and we brought out a lot of themes out of it, being the female male, what is female, what is male,
Right.
um, those kind of things. So it's escalated and elevated the piece quite a bit, I must say, and I
Yes.
absolutely like it. Yeah.
That's how a lot of projects get done. Now you had another recommend script with us, which was called Discordant, and
Correct.
this one won the Wild Sound Film Festival for first scene in 2018. So tell us about that project.
So the log line here is: a teenage Aspie must befriend a famous composer whose unorthodox methods will unlock award-winning compositions from his twin sister. Not knowing, he kills his students and steals their music
Awesome.
for his own stardom.
Right.
So it was a challenge, because this one I watched The Accountant with Ben Affleck,
Mhm.
and like, how interesting that they have an autistic person play the protagonist. Um, I maybe just want to try it. And then I brought in music, because I absolutely love music. Music is something that's really near to my heart and what I love doing. And it just evolved into this beautiful piece where you have this boy with a twin sister trying to help her get to Juilliard, but then the small town that they live in, they don't know any better, and the first person that comes along that claims he's a music teacher, is this psychopathic killer. And and also
Life
the
is like
main,
that.
yeah.
Just when you think,
So yeah, so it's all about sibling, um, camaraderie, and what one sibling would do for another, and
sure,
family, because they don't have anyone else but the two of them.
right.
So, and him also being autistic and cannot relate, and antisocial and asocialized, and it's just so hard for him to express how he feels about his sister and how he wants her to succeed. But at the end of the day, he's also the most talented one. But because of the struggles that he goes through in life and who he is, makes it hard for him to step up and be that person that he
Sure.
wants his sister to be. So
Do you have like a plan that you send out like so many queries a week? Do you have like a regular marketing plan you do, or you just kind of do it whenever?
So I at least try to do 10 query letters per day, whether
Wow.
it's from
Okay.
people from IMDb Pro that I get their details from, who produce similar works, or LinkedIn, which is for me the most
Yeah.
successful at the moment,
Wow.
that I just
That's
reach
good.
out and continue. What I do is I keep connecting to new producers, new people, new decision makers, so that my following or my connection database, it keeps growing.
Keeps growing.
Um, yeah, that's the most important thing to me. And then I just make a list of all the producers or directors or the decision makers who respond, whether it's a negative respond or a positive respond. I
That's a good idea.
I make a note of it. I put them on a spreadsheet, and I absolutely just, in 6 months' time, check in with them again. And the
Follow up.
relationship and the networking, I keep alive. I keep doing it.
Fantastic. Now you have a project that is in its final stages of development. Now you're moving, it's called 7 Year Mile. Now, is that getting ready to move into principal photography, or tell us about that project?
So we're actually busy getting some funding for it now. So obviously, I'm writing all my scripts on spec, and then I go out to my personal investors that I, have in my, how can I say, my resource pool,
Okay.
and and then I just hear from them. Are you interested in investing or donating or sponsoring
Mhm.
product placement or whatever the fact may be? So we're in the final stages of locking in all of those people,
Okay.
and yeah, I mean, it's a project very dear to my heart because it's based on a true story, and it's also done alongside a dear friend of mine that brought the concept to me and asked me if I would write something for her, and I said, yeah, let's see where it goes. And it was in 2019. We were um, attached to a production company that came on board for the project, but unfortunately, COVID happened, so we had to put that a little bit on the back burner. And then, unfortunately, very sad news: one of the producers of that company passed away,
Mm,
and that just sort of threw a spanner in the works.
sure.
And we have to now redirect and sort of see where we're heading with a project. But it's very close, and yet so far. But we've got people on board. We've got a talent. We've got very interested. How can I say it? Platforms like a Netflix and a
Mhm.
Showmax South Africa being interested
Excellent.
on this. So
Well, do you do connections with investors and other producers to get your projects done worldwide, or you just do South Africa? Because I heard you mention Netflix. So you do U.S. Production companies distribution also?
yes, it's a little bit harder because it's a whole different game that you need to play. With us in South Africa, you have the Netflix or the other platforms, and they commission productions.
Right.
But it's here it is a little bit more like if they commission it, they take a lot of the ownership,
Mm.
which I don't think I'm willing to do at this stage because we've been working, around the clock on the project. But I am open to individuals all over the world. I mean, I had an American investor on board on one of the projects that I was involved. So once his slate is a little cleaner or he's a little bit more at ease with the project that's been going, I'll reach out to him again and say, listen, we've worked together, and would you be interested? But
Okay.
otherwise than that, what's very good about this is that, you know, we can shoot the quality of this film. We can shoot with $1 million,
Oh,
and
okay.
it could be the quality that you would shoot maybe in Hollywood or Los Angeles of a 20 million budget dollar.
Right. Right.
So if we bring it to South Africa and we have $1 million, we can create the same sort of quality of film. You know.
Excellent.
Uh,
Now, can you tell us the genre and logline for that for the 7 Year Mile?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So for the log line, we have traumatized by a terrible car accident. A female race car driver
Mhm.
must find the courage to race again to help her husband pay a debt.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's a action drama, and it's more about the relationship between the husband and the wife, and it's all about, you know, when you hit that 7 year mark in a marriage, you know, that they say is sort of at the make or the break. And a lot of people, you know, when they get to that point, they want to step out of marriage, or they're stronger together or whatever. So it's sort of a theme playing on that, while we have this underlying suspense of a rush and an urgency to for her to help her husband's debt. And then obviously she deals with a lot of like real life issues, like she had a couple of miscarriages and now she's pregnant again, but now she needs to help her husband, but she's so scared of losing the baby again that it's that constant inner turmoil that, you know, should I jump in the driver's seat again, uh, possibly losing my baby, save my husband? What do I do? You know, and then, you know, at the end, it comes to a point where she's in hospital after the race, whatever. The baby survived, but her life is at stake.
Mhm.
So it's, yes, that constant back and forth. And it's a very beautiful story about a cross-racial relationship as well, where we don't see that a lot in South Africa, where we have, for instance, like maybe a colored woman with a white man or something like that. So we play on that relationship dynamic as well.
I love that. And I love that it's a female race car driver. Definitely. Now, a lot of writers out there, you've had a lot more experience than them. So do you have anything that you would like say to screenwriters getting started? Any advice you would give them?
Wow. Um, don't think you're going to do it overnight. For me, you know, I started writing, and writing one thing led to learning another thing. And once I wrote screenplays before I went to official classes online, you know, and if I didn't do that, I think I would have been lost,
Mm,
because I had to sort of find my own groove first before I start learning and stacking some new ideas and knowledge onto that. If I
mm,
came in fresh, I think I would have been a little lost, and it would have taken me longer to get into it. Maybe I would have gotten discouraged, because, you know, you'll receive 1,000 no's before you receive that one yes. And it's a constant climb. It's a constant of, it's not done, it's not done, it's a constant rewrite. You need to keep pushing through, of, you know, how to tell the story in a better way. And until you get to that point, it won't be ready for someone to say yes, I'm on board, you know, and get someone hooked. So something that I would say to first-time writers and writers to maybe just stepping into the industry is to, it's more of a long time and a long-term investment
mhm.
in your writing skill as a writer than making a quick buck. And it's not your golden ticket. Writing your screenplay is not your golden ticket. I've also written practice scripts before I even showed a script to anyone.
Right,
So you can't write your first script and think, oh my gosh, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to become rich and famous and all those lovely things.
right,
um, you need to be prepared to take the journey, because when it's good, it's really good.
right.
And you meet such wonderful people along the way, and I feel that's what the screenwriting business is all about. Is it's not it's not even how well you write; it's the people around you that can connect you with the right person and the right
Right.
people, that can take your project further. And always be open to notes. Always be open to notes and feedback, from people who are making decisions in the industry, because they've been there, they've gotten the t-shirt. So
Right.
listen to what they say,
Yeah,
like
that's true.
listen to what they say. And it doesn't matter, and still doesn't matter. I've been writing now almost for 15 years, and I've written a lot of scripts, 50 and above.
Mhm.
But I'm still, when I get to someone who's making a decision in the room, it's that person is boss, and if he wants to change something, be open to the change. I'm not saying be a walkover or whatever. Just
Right.
be open to the change and see if it could definitely elevate the story constantly. And don't only write when you inspired. Write every day.
Every day.
Choose it,
Every day.
because our brains are programmed that when you, for instance, if you go to the gym, I go to the gym at 12 o'clock every day, so my body is ready for it. The
Right.
same with your brain and your writing brain. I write every day at night at a certain time after I've put my toddler in bed. But I'm always writing, even if it's just half an hour,
Mhm.
um, or even if because I'm adapting a couple of books right now. So that's sort of something that just blossomed. I don't know how that happened, but I'm busy with one of the books right now, and every night I at least try and complete a turning point within the structure, within the outline. So, and once I get to the full structure of the story, then I'll go back and I'll start writing it. But every night I do a little bit of writing.
Yeah. And it shows, because I'll tell you, I can always tell when someone writes from inspiration, because you're going
Oh,
along,
wow.
it looks good, and all of a sudden it kind of shifts and you're like, what? And then there's something else going on. As
Yeah.
opposed to the person who structured it and sat down and wrote every day, you can tell the difference. It's a major difference.
What
Mhm.
got me started on that was I started doing Julia Cameron's The Artist Way. I don't know if you're familiar with her book. And she does like a, three page journaling every morning, her morning pages
Yes,
that
every
that
day.
that you write. And when we were touring with all of these theater productions, I started journaling. And it was just, whether it's negative, positive, whatever thoughts you have, you just
Put it
put
out.
it down.
Right,
It's just
right.
jolted. It doesn't make sense sometimes. Just put it down. And the the cleanse you get from it, it's very hoity-toity that I'm what I'm talking about now, but the cleanse that you get from just writing and putting down on the page, doesn't matter what the quality is, that's a healing in itself. And
Right.
it opens the gates,
Yeah, it gets the creativity flowing. Right. It gets all the
yeah.
creativity flowing.
And
Absolutely.
everybody's creative process is different. But I still believe in, you plan what you write.
Well, for Nans, anything you'd like to say in closing? And we thank you for being with us today.
Oh, no, thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. When I received your email, I was so excited for this. Uh, it's so lovely actually seeing you in person
I know
online,
we
because
finally get to meet after all this time.
I
Yeah, it's so
know,
exciting. He's a
but I don't.
fabulous writer, and he always shocks me with stuff. So
um, well, you try, but thank you for that, and thank you for always, like, taking such time on my scripts, and everybody's scripts. I guess, when we send it to you, because the feedback that comes from you is amazing, and that's also part,
thank you.
feedback process, especially from your coverage, is is phenomenal. It,
Thank
it
you.
helps me. It's even with the people that I write with, my co-writers, it sparks ideas, and that's all you need. And then from there you can start brainstorm, and that's what I love about your feedback, is that it
Thank you.
sparks.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
know writing may start just you in the room, and it seems very personalized, but it is a very collaborative effort. So and coverage is part of that collaborative effort. and then it broadens out
Correct.
talent and producers and directors, and pretty soon you're in a room with 100 people who are giving you an opinion. So it's
Correct. And maybe that's what I want to say in closing is that, you think you're writing a screenplay and you're sitting by yourself, but it's not. You're writing this thing for 100, 200 other people. And then
literally,
when it gets,
yeah,
yes, and then when it gets produced, it's for whoever the market is. So you cannot think it's my screenplay. It's a message at the end of the day, and it's an inspiration. It's something that you want to relay to the world.
right.
Why
You're writing,
otherwise
you're
would I?
writing for an audience. You're really writing for an audience, is what you're doing. Yeah,
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So for me, it's don't think if you've written a screenplay, it's just for yourself. It's you've got a responsibility to now take everyone else in consideration when you do.
absolutely. Well, thank you, Ferdinand, for being here today. And
Thank you.
thank you very much. And we'll see you again.